When a beloved actor's genuine emotions clash with a talk show host's hunger for controversy, the result can be deeply unsettling. What unfolded that night between Andrew Garfield and Stephen Colbert revealed a side of late-night television that viewers rarely see: a calculated, almost predatory need to turn vulnerability into spectacle. The Late Show studio had its usual buzz, but there was an underlying tension. Andrew Garfield, dressed sharp but slightly tense, was there to promote a new project and, more importantly, speak candidly about personal struggles he'd been facing. The audience expected Colbert's signature wit and warmth. What they got was something else entirely. Colbert entered with his trademark smile, but there was a sharper glint in his eye, so those close to the industry might recognize the look of someone under pressure to deliver viral moments. The interview began with a subtle jab: "You look a little tired tonight. Everything okay?" It sounded harmless, but Garfield sensed the intent. He answered politely, referencing the demands of his new film. But Colbert wasn't interested in the film. He leaned in and asked about Garfield's recent openness regarding personal issues: mental health, grief, vulnerability. "Some people are saying your interviews feel more like therapy sessions. Are you using talk shows to work through your issues?" The studio air shifted. Audience members stirred uneasily. This wasn't typical late-night fare, it was a setup. Garfield remained composed, stating there's a difference between authenticity and using interviews as therapy. He wanted to be honest, he said, because audiences deserve that. But Colbert pressed on: "Isn't your public image here, this vulnerable artist thing, just another performance?" The accusation stung. Garfield's response was clear: real pain isn't a brand. He redirected the conversation toward his work, but Colbert wasn't letting go. "Isn't it convenient," he asked, "how your most vulnerable moments seem to coincide with promotional appearances?" Garfield stood his ground. "There's a line between asking real questions and turning someone's pain into content. Right now, you're crossing it." The audience, sensing the hostility, went quiet. Then came a moment of raw tension. Colbert stood up, a move that felt intimidating more than conversational. "If you can't handle being challenged, maybe this isn't the right format for you." Garfield responded without flinching: "You're not challenging me. You're exploiting me." The exchange escalated. Colbert accused Garfield of using mental health to build his brand. Garfield, calm but firm, rejected the premise. "I've never used my struggles to promote anything. I've answered questions honestly when asked." Colbert insisted it was implicit branding, suggesting Garfield's emotional openness was just another PR tool. Garfield replied, "Or maybe it's just a human being trying to make other people feel less alone." By now, even the crew looked visibly disturbed. Camera operators hesitated. Assistants whispered into headsets. But Colbert, instead of retreating, doubled down. "Maybe this is all about you, about getting attention." That's when Garfield, rather than retaliate, responded with empathy. "I'm sorry you've become so cynical about human connection. I really am." It should have been a moment of breakthrough. Instead, Colbert recoiled. "Don't therapize me," he snapped. "I'm not," Garfield said softly. "I'm just trying to understand why you brought me here only to tear me down." Colbert's anger morphed into deflection. "I'm doing real journalism, asking the hard questions." "This isn't journalism," Garfield said. "This is manufactured drama." That struck a nerve. Colbert lashed out, accusing Garfield of being not important enough for such manipulation. Garfield, unfazed, asked the obvious: "Then why are you doing it?" Colbert finally made it explicit. "Because you came here with your fake vulnerability, your rehearsed sincerity. I won't let you manipulate my audience." Garfield stood firm, then addressed the studio: "Look around. Does this look like good television? Something to be proud of?" Colbert looked eager and saw discomfort. His audience, his crew, were shaken. Yet instead of changing course, he leaned into control. "We're cutting this short. Some guests just aren't ready for real conversation." The irony was stunning. After 20 minutes of veiled attacks and emotional provocation, Colbert now painted himself as the rational one, forced to end an interview because of Garfield's supposed fragility. Security was called in not because Garfield had done anything wrong, but because he had refused to break. As they approached, Garfield looked into the cameras and said with quiet dignity, "I came here to talk about work I care deeply about." Instead, I became the target of an orchestrated humiliation. This isn't journalism, it's cruelty. He turned back one last time, sadness in his voice rather than anger. "I hope someday you remember why you got into this business. That guests are people, not content." And with that, he walked off stage, leaving behind a shaken audience, a rattled crew, and a host who had revealed something about himself that no amount of editing could undo.